The African savanna. It is a place of breathtaking beauty, where the eternal drama of life and death plays out under the harsh golden sun. For every majestic beast that thrives here, there is a tale of desperate struggle, a fight for survival against impossible odds. Our story begins not with a king, but with a prince who was born broken, a tiny soul named Leo. Leo was not like the other cubs. Where they saw the shimmering grasses and the distant cooling watering hole, Leo saw nothing but an endless suffocating blackness. Born with congenital blindness, his life was marked by a terrible certainty. He was a liability to his pride. In the unforgiving hierarchy of the lion family, weakness is not tolerated. It is abandoned. We found him exactly 1 week after his mother, and the rest of the pride had left him behind. He was huddled beneath the skeletal shadow of an acacia tree, his small body already wasted by starvation and dehydration. His creamy coat, once soft and bright, was dusty and matted with dirt. He was barely 4 months old, an age where he should have been learning to play and pounce, but Leo was only learning to fear. The sun beat down with the intensity of a blacksmith's forge. Every sound, the distant caw of a scavenger bird, the whisper of the hot wind through the brush, was a source of terror, amplified tenfold by his lack of sight. He would lift his small, triangular head, sniffing desperately for the faintest scent of his lost family, or perhaps just for the smell of water. But there was only the dry, metallic scent of the earth. He tried, oh, how he tried. Instinct would drive him forward, forcing his wobbly legs to carry him toward what he hoped was safety. But without vision, every step was a gamble. He would stumble over roots, his paws landing on sharp stones, and he would often walk in slow, heartbreaking circles, ending up exactly where he started, alone. His small, plaintive cries, little more than weak squeaks, would go unanswered. They were the sound of utter defeat echoing across the vast emptiness. He was exhausted. He was done. His tiny mind seemed to be accepting the cold, final truth that the savannah had no place for a blind lion. But the savannah has witnesses. Our team's lead ranger, a quiet, thoughtful man named Samuel, or Sam, had been tracking the abandoned pride for an unrelated project. It was purely by chance, or perhaps a moment of fate, that he saw the small, motionless lump under the tree. Sam is a man who has seen it all: the brutal efficiency of nature, the majestic hunts, the swift, silent deaths. But even for a man as hardened by years in the bush as he was, the sight of Leo broke something inside him. This was not a natural death. This was a slow, terrifying surrender. To intervene in the wild is often a grave mistake, a violation of the deep laws of the ecosystem. But to stand by and watch this innocent creature die of loneliness and thirst felt like a violation of humanity itself. Sam made a decision that day that would change the course of Leo's life forever. He knew the risk, to himself, to the cub, and to the delicate balance he swore to protect. He radioed back, not for extraction, but for minimal supplies: a thermal blanket, a specialized milk formula, and a small hidden observation camera. His official report mentioned a general animal health assessment in the sector. His heart was telling a different story. He approached Leo slowly, his voice a low, soothing murmur that cut through the terror. Leo, sensing the large new presence, instinctively flattened himself, bracing for the final, inescapable bite of a predator. But instead of teeth, he felt a soft, warm hand gently running along his matted fur, checking his temperature, his heart rate. It was the first touch of kindness he had ever truly known. Sam spent the next 3 hours sitting patiently, carefully administering droplets of water and a highly diluted formula, using a medical syringe. Leo, initially resisting with weak, pathetic swipes, eventually yielded, his small jaws opening instinctively to swallow the life-giving liquid. With every drop, a tiny spark of life seemed to flicker back into existence in that fragile body. It was during this critical, quiet moment, as Sam held the cub steady and the sun began its slow descent, that we paused to reflect on the power of second chances. If this story of survival, hope, and compassion is touching your heart, please join our community. Take a second to tap the subscribe button below and give this video a like. Your support allows us to continue sharing these essential emotional tales of the wild. Every single click helps us spread the message that every creature, no matter how small or how challenged, deserves a chance at life. With nightfall approaching, Sam knew he couldn't leave Leo where he was. The jackals would be out soon. He constructed a temporary small enclosure using reinforced netting, camouflaging it expertly with brush and rock near his own hidden outpost. He was breaking every rule, but watching Leo take those first few tentative sips of formula convinced him it was the right thing to do. The second night was the hardest. Leo was stabilized, but still terrified. He slept fitfully, his blindness robbing him of any sense of safety. Sam stayed nearby, monitoring him through the night. As the moon rose, casting long silver shadows across the plains, an entirely new presence entered the scene. It was impossibly vast. It moved with a slow, deliberate cadence that made the very ground tremble. It was a giant, a colossal shadow that eclipsed the moonlight. Leo, though blind, felt the profound vibration through the earth, a deep, resonant rumble that shook his tiny bones. He froze, his breathing shallow, every nerve end screaming danger. It was an elephant, not just any elephant. This was a bull elephant, massive and solitary, known in the area for his sheer size and unpredictable temperament. His name, given by local tribesmen, was Balthazar, and Balthazar was heading directly toward Leo's small, hidden enclosure. Sam, watching from his nearby perch, held his breath, his hand instinctively going to his emergency flare. Was Balthazar sensing the cub? Was he curious? Or was he about to crush the cub and Sam's desperate hopes in one giant, uncaring stomp? The tension was suffocating. Leo could only wait in the darkness, feeling the giant shadow loom over him, bracing for the end. The air hung heavy and silent, thick with the primal fear of the cub and the desperate anxiety of the man. Balthazar, the colossal bull elephant, stood motionless. His shadow swallowed the small makeshift enclosure where Leo was huddled. Sam, watching from his post, couldn't breathe. This was it, the moment of truth. Would the wild claim its due, or was something extraordinary about to happen? Balthazar didn't move for what felt like an eternity. Then, a sound, unlike the aggressive warning of a bull elephant, emerged. It was a low, mournful rumble, a deep internal vibration that elephants use to communicate across vast distances. It wasn't a threat. It sounded like sorrow, or perhaps recognition. Slowly, deliberately, the elephant lowered his massive, wrinkled head. His trunk, thicker than Leo's entire body, uncurled and stretched toward the netting. Leo, sensing the immense heat and the strange, new smell, a scent of earth, dust, and immense age, flinchingly pressed himself against the back of the cage. He let out a tiny, whimpering sound. What happened next defied everything Sam had ever learned about animal behavior. The elephant's trunk, instead of crashing down, came to rest lightly against the wire of the enclosure, right above where Leo was hiding. It didn't push, it didn't prod. It stayed there, a silent, warm presence. Then, Balthazar began to spray a fine mist of water from his trunk, not directly at the cub, but gently onto the dry, dusty ground immediately surrounding the net. This was a clear, unmistakable action. Balthazar was creating moisture, slightly cooling the air around the distressed cub. It was an act of profound, protective tenderness. Sam watched, completely stunned. An animal known for its strength and occasional hostility was showing pure, unadulterated compassion to a creature it should, by nature, ignore or even accidentally destroy. Leo, feeling the slight cooling and the absence of any aggressive movement, began to calm. He tentatively lifted his nose and sniffed the air where the trunk had been. The scent of the water and the immense quiet warmth radiating from the elephant began to replace his terror with a bewildered curiosity. The enormous shadow, which had represented certain death moments before, now felt like a strange, warm wall. Balthazar stayed there for nearly an hour. He would occasionally shift his weight, letting out those low, soft rumbles, like a giant comforting a frightened child. When he finally turned and lumbered silently back into the dark savanna, Sam felt a wave of dizzying relief. But he also felt a deep sense of wonder. What had he just witnessed? The next morning, Leo was weak but alive. Sam quickly administered the formula and checked the cub's vitals. Leo was definitely stronger. The cub seemed less panicked, perhaps sensing the consistent presence of his human protector. But the true surprise came that afternoon. Balthazar returned. This time, the bull elephant was in no hurry. He approached the area, deliberately avoiding the netting, and settled down about 50 feet away, browsing casually on an acacia tree. He was close enough for Leo to sense him, to hear the rhythmic, peaceful sound of him tearing leaves and chewing, but far enough not to be threatening. The next day, he came closer, and the day after that, closer still. It became a strange, silent ritual. Sam would care for Leo, and Balthazar would stand guard. The big elephant never touched the cub directly, never broke the barrier of the fence, but his presence was a shield. Other predators, a lone cheetah, a pack of hyenas that might have sensed the small, vulnerable cub, would hesitate when they sensed the overwhelming size and power of Balthazar. They would circle, sniff the air, and then quickly retreat. The blind cub had an unlikely massive protector. Leo began to change. His initial desperate fear of the giant animal faded entirely. When Balthazar arrived, Leo would stop his frantic searching and simply sit, tilting his head up toward the deep, vibrating rumbles. It was as if Balthazar's presence provided him with a sense of orientation, a massive, immovable anchor in his dark world. He would often let out his own small, soft purr, a tiny, vibrating counterpoint to the elephant's deep, steady bass. This relationship, the blind lion cub and the protective bull elephant, was a miracle unfolding in the harsh reality of the savannah. It was a powerful reminder that compassion is not limited by species or size. It crosses every divide. If this story of unexpected friendship is inspiring you, and if you believe that every living creature deserves a champion, please help us reach more people who feel the same way. Now is the perfect time to make sure you're subscribed to our channel and have hit that like button. We rely on your engagement to keep these stories of hope going. Thank you for being a part of Leo's journey. Weeks turned into a month. Leo gained strength rapidly. He was now playful, batting at the thermal blanket, learning the geography of his small enclosure. He was becoming a proper, if still sightless, lion cub. But the time for his limited stay in the makeshift enclosure was running out. Sam knew he couldn't keep him there forever. Leo needed a full, permanent rescue, a facility where he could receive specialized care and live a life without danger. The moment for intervention had arrived. Sam had made arrangements with a sanctuary specializing in disabled wild animals. The transport was scheduled for dawn the next day. The hardest part would be the separation. Not from Balthazar. The elephant would simply wander off, but from the place where Leo had fought so hard to live. The evening before the scheduled rescue, Balthazar arrived as usual, but this time his mood felt different. He didn't settle down. He stood directly facing the enclosure, and for the first time since their strange companionship began, he started to push. He pushed the dense, thorny bushes away from the fence. He pushed the large stones Sam had used for camouflage. He was clearing the area, almost as if preparing for something. Sam, watching with a growing pit in his stomach, felt a new fear. Had Balthazar finally lost his patience? Was he about to claim the cub as his own, breaking the netting that separated them? The low rumbling started again, but this time it was louder, more urgent. It was directed entirely at the small, blind cub. It was a call, a powerful summons, demanding Leo's attention. Leo, sensing the frantic energy, responded with a fearful, high-pitched whimper. The giant elephant was signaling something vital, something urgent, and Sam realized this strange bond was about to be tested in a way none of them could have anticipated. The air was vibrating not just with Balthazar's sound, but with an underlying tension, a threat that Sam couldn't immediately identify. The elephant was certainly powerful, pushing away stones and thorny brush with a frantic, focused energy. But his actions were not aimed at the netting itself. He was deliberately creating a clear, open path from Leo's enclosure outwards, directly toward the hidden tracks where the rescue vehicle was due to arrive at dawn. Sam lowered his flare, his mind reeling. Was Balthazar, in his immense, profound way, somehow aware of the impending rescue? Was he creating an ease of passage for the very operation that would separate him from his strange, tiny ward? Just as Sam wrestled with this impossible thought, the real danger revealed itself. A sudden, sharp sound, the crackle of dry twigs breaking, came not from the savanna in front of Balthazar, but from the deep shadows behind him. Sam's blood ran cold. It was the soft, padded footfall of a large cat. Not a lone cheetah, but something heavier. Balthazar heard it too. He immediately stopped his clearing work. The soft, mournful rumbles instantly changed to an aggressive, powerful trumpet, a sound that shook the leaves off the acacia trees. He spun, his ears flared out like massive sails, facing the new threat head-on. Two enormous eyes, twin chips of cold amber light, flashed in the darkness. It was a leopard, sleek and heavy, drawn by the scent of the vulnerable cub. The leopard was cautious, but clearly focused on its easy meal. The situation flipped from a tense moment of separation to an immediate life-or-death confrontation. Balthazar, the self-appointed guardian, placed his tremendous body directly between the leopard and Leo's small cage. He stomped his massive feet, generating ground-shaking thuds, and let out another earth-shattering trumpet. He was a wall of ancient, protective fury. The leopard, though a formidable killer, understood the odds. Charging an elephant is suicide. After a moment of intense, silent standoff, the blind cub, whimpering inside his enclosure, unaware of the battle fought on his behalf. The leopard hissed once, a sound of frustrated rage, and melted back into the shadows. Balthazar did not follow. He remained at the guard post for a long moment, ensuring the threat was truly gone. Then, he turned back to the enclosure and continued his work, finishing the pathway he had started, pushing the final large log aside. It was his final silent gift. The great elephant had ensured the safety of his small friend right up to the last possible moment, clearing the way for Leo's future. Sam finally moved, scrambling down from his outpost, tears blurring his vision. He needed to get the cub out now. He radioed his team, "Proceed immediately, clear path, but be silent." As the rescue team approached, moving with the quiet precision of trained professionals, Sam made his last approach to the enclosure. He found Leo huddled down, exhausted by the tension, but still alive. Sam spoke to him softly, running a gentle hand over the cub's head. "It's time to go home, little prince." The process of retrieval was quick and delicate. A mild sedative was administered to ease the stress, and Leo was gently placed into a custom-designed, temperature-controlled crate. It was critical to keep the emotional farewell short. As the team prepared the vehicle, Balthazar was still close by. He stood at the edge of the cleared path, watching. When the vehicle's low engine hum began to turn over, the elephant let out one final sound. It was that deep, rumbling vibration, but laced with a clear, heartbreaking note of farewell. A sound of genuine, sentient loss. Leo, drowsy but still highly sensitive, responded immediately. Inside the crate, his small body tensed, and he let out a thin, drawn-out cry, a soft, pleading sound of separation. It was the lion cub saying goodbye to the giant who had saved his life. The elephant stood there, a bronze statue in the pre-dawn glow, until the vehicle and the cub were out of sight. That was the last time Ranger Sam saw Balthazar. The long journey took Leo away from the dry, cruel savanna and into the green, sheltered care of the Hope Haven Sanctuary. Hope Haven was designed specifically for animals like Leo. It was a place where disability did not mean abandonment, but specialized attention. When Leo woke up in his new environment, he was confused, disoriented by the new smells and soft surfaces. But the most important change was the presence of a new companion. Her name was Kaylee. She was a little older than Leo, perhaps 5 months, and she had been rescued from an illegal animal trader. She was fully sighted, playful, and, most importantly for Leo, extraordinarily gentle. Introducing a blind cub to a sighted one required extreme patience from the caregivers. Initially, Leo was terrified, reverting to his old habits of flinching and pressing himself against the wall. But Callie was instinctively gentle. She never pounced unexpectedly. She would approach slowly, making soft, reassuring noises, bumping her nose gently against his flank. It was Kaylee who became Leo's eyes. She taught him to navigate the boundaries of their large enclosure by sound and scent. She would bat a toy just so he could follow the sound. When he stumbled, she would nudge him back onto the path. When they rested, she would carefully groom his face, her soft tongue a constant comforting presence. Leo began to thrive. His fur grew thick and glossy. He started to play with the ferocious abandon of a proper young lion. He learned to trust the ground beneath his paws and the boundaries of his world. Not through sight, but through the patient, unwavering guidance of his sighted friend. He was safe, warm, and loved. The emotional scars of his abandonment began to heal, replaced by the deep, resonant purrs of contentment that filled their shelter. Leo, the cub who was about to give up on life, had found a life worth fighting for. What we learn from the story of Leo and Balthazar is not just about the extraordinary compassion that exists in the animal kingdom, but about the profound responsibility we humans have to honor that compassion. Balthazar, the massive, solitary giant, saw the vulnerability of a tiny, blind creature and chose to act as a protector, a true guardian angel. He taught us that kindness recognizes no species barrier, no predator-prey line. Leo's story is a shining beacon of hope, a reminder that rescue is not just about saving a life, it is about restoring dignity, building trust, and proving that even in the darkest of moments, help can come from the most unexpected and beautiful places. He continues to live a full, happy life with Kaylee at the sanctuary, a testament to the fact that love and the will to survive are stronger than any disability. We came to the savannah searching for a story of loss, but we found a story of the purest, most selfless love. And that truly is the greatest rescue of all. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey.